As Brian said, I'm the VP of Growth at Drift. I was prior to that the VP of Growth at Segment, a number of other like SaaS companies. I've been doing SaaS and more specifically B2B sales for the past 16 years now, as I started on B2B online sales in 2004 at Apple. So that brings us back quite some time. So people call me G. I'm obviously French. And there's really three things that I try to focus on. One is SaaS. Second is like self-service, sales automation, and growth experimentation. Those are the three things I really like to focus on. And I think often people ask me, what's my job as the VP of Growth? So I thought about it a lot. And so my job, the way I define it is, I create competitive moats through great marketing, great life cycle marketing, so that you can compete and destroy your competitors through insane CAC, meaning low CAC. And today I'm going to talk about sales automation. Right? I'm going to talk about sales-assisted businesses where you have a sales team. That sales team needs demos. And I'm going to show you how we can push, let's say, the automation to new heights, to new levels, again, to bring that CAC down. So if you think of that kind of business, you ask yourself, well, what's the job of an SDR? Right? I've been working with SDRs a lot. I actually will share my life. My wife is a salesperson, so I know salespeople quite a bit. And when I talk to salespeople, and especially SDRs, you're going to think, well, they do a couple of things. They do data collection and entry. Okay. They do lead qualification, and they book meetings for AEs. It's not a great job, to be honest, right? And why is that actually becoming a worse and worse job? It's because they're facing lower and lower conversion rates. Right? The rate of booking a meeting from a lead is going down, right? And they're incentivized to actually have more meetings. So how do they respond as humans, right? Well, they increase volume, right? They send more emails, more outbound emails, right? And so when you think about that, you ask yourself, what are humans not good at, right? And they're not good at maintaining a good quality while the volume increases. And so that's why we are getting a lot of spam. We're getting a lot of spam as founders, as buyers, because these SDRs are trying to get those meetings, right? And so if you take a step back and you think of like how that model works and why we're having that issue. If you look at that curve, you can have a lead. Here I'm representing like a lead of the little chat bubble because I do live chat. That's profitable if the lifetime value of that lead is greater than the cost of selling. Makes a ton of sense. Or you could have a lead which is unprofitable, right? Because the cost of selling is greater than the value, mostly because that lead does not convert, right? The problem is that you don't really know which is which before you engage the sales effort, right? Before you actually have your entire sales motion, your marketing motion, that's there, right? So you're engaging the cost first, and you see the potential value later, right? And that sucks, right? And so if you actually look at your landscape, it looks like this. You have like all of those potential leads on that landscape, and you'll figure out where they are, right? And so as a marketer, you have your founders. Like, how do marketers react? You're going to push your marketing team and say, hey, I want more profit. I want a better cost of acquisition. Do something. What do? They do this. They bring the cost of selling down because they don't know which ones are going to convert, right? What does that mean? It means that the entire experience is going to get worse because they have less budget per person. They're going to spend less, which means the emails are going to get worse. If you send gifts, they're going to get worse. If you do events, they're going to get worse. Everything's going to get worse so you can bring the entire cost per lead down. And so what they would do is, that's my fault. I'm a marketer. I did that. Right? I created that messy world where quantity is a more important thing than quality. All right? So a couple of questions here. Who's a SaaS buyer? Who buys SaaS here? I imagine almost everyone, right? Let's see a show of hands. Yeah? Okay, cool. Who enjoys buying SaaS? Who finds it an enjoyable experience? Okay, I'm not seeing a single hand here. This is problematic, right? Because most of us actually sell SaaS and we don't enjoy buying it too, right? There's kind of a schizophrenic problem here, right? And you think it's just us, it's fine, we're founders, whatever, it's just us, it's not the world, right? The world is great. 2015 Forrester survey shows that 53% of B2B buyers don't want to talk to sales reps. And you think, gee, that's 2015, we're in 2019 now, things have gotten better, right? Yeah, so 2017 is 68%, so that trend's going up, so they really don't want to talk to us. That kind of sucks. And if you look at another number, 70% of B2B buyers start with a generic search query. They do not search for your brand, right? Kind of makes sense, right? If you think about it, they don't trust your sales reps, right? They don't trust your sales reps to give good advice. I'm not even talking for unbiased advice. I'm just talking good advice, right? Very much the same way, you probably don't go to a hotel's website before booking a hotel, right? You go to TripAdvisor, you go, for a restaurant, you go to Yelp, you're going to go for like crowdsourced advice, right? So let's go back to our first problem. What's a good way to handle large volume of low frequency events? Frequency of those events is conversion into demos. I'd say it's code, right? That's a good system, right? What's good at creating a consistent experience, high quality experience? We could say it's also code. All right? And so the word I'm seeing is a word where data and engineering is eating sales. And I like that. I'm going to show you how we do it. So the first thing that we did is we partnered with a company called MadKudu. And disclosure here, I'm actually an advisor there, to build a lead scoring model. And you're going to think, no, that's easy. We have that. I have that in Marketo. I'll show you why it's pretty unique. All right? But the leads, before we go there, the lead scoring model is very efficient, right? We're able to predict about 80% of future business within 16% of our leads. So it's a good concentration of the quality. And so what does that mean? It means if you look back at that landscape, at the moment we get all those leads, you're able to actually place them on that curve to know which ones will be profitable and which ones won't, all right? Once you know that, you can say, hey, G, I'm just going to engage on those that are up there, right? I'm going to ignore all of those that are down. And say, wrong, 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 wrong. You should do this. You should actually split multiple experiences at multiple costs so that you can have a self-service at a lower cost, right? So you make profit, and maybe an enterprise model at a higher cost. That makes sense. We all have that. But this is the theory of why we have those kind of like brackets. And if you're good, you don't stop there. If you're good, you actually build this, right? Where you have as many experiences as possible. And so the reason why this is important is because where your competitors will have a very linear budget and they're going to decrease the experience. If you have that, you're able to have an experience that is finely tuned to the budget, to the revenue you have in the future, which means you can have a better customer experience than your competitors, which means you will close, and they won't, right? And if you're thinking this is crazy, think back to how B2C operates. In B2B, we have a lot to learn from B2C, all right? We're just bidding the right amount, right? We're just spending the right amount on each potential customer, right? It also means we're not going to spam people who we know will not convert, right? The reason why I talk of B2C is because that's exactly what retargeting and RTB, real-time bidding, works in B2C world, right? When you see those ads from Amazon or any other consumer website, they are making a bet that the cost of displaying that ad is, at the conversion rate, is cheaper in aggregate than losing your sale, right? And so there's profit to be made there. That's exactly what we're doing, but we're just applying it to B2B. So if you look at your funnel, where does it start? You think it starts here when people land on your website. That's the most common definition of a funnel. People come to your website, some of them will sign up, some of them will convert, and so on and so on and so on. And I'm thinking, well, as we said, code is moving up the food chain. And so what happens before they land on the website? We talked about those buyers not wanting to talk to you. Those buyers going to like find other advice and going on a generic search query. I found some data from Google. There's a 2015 Google Insight survey. B2B buyers, they do 12 searches before engaging with a brand, 12. That kind of makes sense. I probably do 12 searches before going on an hotel in Lake Tahoe. So like when I buy for like a $3,000 per month subscription for my business, I'm 100% going to do 12 searches, of course, right? So what happens there? Well, there's this little model that we have constructed to understand the behavior of visitors, right? If you think of a B2B buyer and their life cycle, there is the fit. The fit model, the lead scoring model, that is what we call the belief, right? And so the belief is, for example, I sell live chat. You might, as founders, say, live chat is good. Yeah, I think we should have live chat. You don't know that you should buy Drift, yet at least, but you have a certain belief about live chat technology, right? So that brings you on a scale of 0, where 0 is you don't convert, and 1 you do convert at 100% rate, right? Might bring you at 20%. And then you're going to visit third-party websites. You're going to discover the market. You're going to maybe visit my website. You may be going to do a self-discovery of my feature pages. Maybe you're going to sign up for a trial. Maybe you're going to even talk to my sales after that, or you're just going to get my nurture emails, right? All of that is a behavior curve that we can analyze, we can model, right? And if you look at lead scoring models, most of the time in your BI, your analytics, you start capturing data after the trial. You start doing the lead scoring at the moment of sign up, right? And that's good. It's better than not doing it, right? The problem of that is that it means our marketing, our reaction to push people from like maybe 80% over 1 happens quite late, right? It happens there, actually, right? And your marketer is going to say, well, we'll do some, re-engagement campaigns. We're going to send them offers by email or retargeting. But like, the thing is that curve goes down extremely fast. I've analyzed that curve in many startups. It drops like a cliff, right? And the reason why that is because there's a discrepancy between your marketing and your product. Your marketing always says that it's better than what the product really is, right? That makes sense. It's called marketing for a reason. It's also because usually there's some kind of setup. And you're not going to put in your feature pages or in your ads, hey, sign up, then connect the apps or like invite your friends or whatever it is that you need to do to get the value. There's no immediate value. So people sign up, they just saw the messages about the great value, and now they need to go into the setup, right? And so there's a cliff, right? And so you try to bring them back. Most of the time, your goal is there, but your actual campaign effect is there. What we mean by that is that the injection of momentum is insufficient to get them to convert, all right? And of course, you're not going to give them a Tesla because otherwise you'd be in negative margin territory. If we model that again, so we talked about lead scoring, the blue part, that's the fit prediction. The orange part is the behavior analysis. What we don't do is the understanding of when that curve is at the highest moment. When should we push, right? And how can we push exactly at that moment so that the cost of the momentum injection is the lowest possible? And what we've done, and what I'm going to show you now, because this talk is about intent and predicting the future, is the ability to understand the buying signals in those 12 searches before they hit my website, to understand the shape of the curve before my competitors. So how do we do it? With intent data. So if you go back to that curve, you expand the discovery of market, you look at those 12 searches, and you find that, well, we were scoring after the hit on the website. We were enriching with Clearbit, scoring with Mad Kudu. But all of those places, all of those companies are companies I can buy intent data from, and I can actually move my scoring through the very first intent hit. So for those who don't know G2Crowd is kind of the Yelp of SaaS software. And they sell their intent data, and I'm going to show you how. And all of those companies are just a fraction of those that sell intent data on purchase behavior. And we actually run scoring models based on our trials, but we run that on the intent before people come to us. So a couple of examples of intent data. Data Analyze, same as HG data. They sell great web technographics. What that means is that they tell you which technologies are installed on a given website. So you could say, hey, who has Intercom, my computer, installed, right? When have they installed it? When did they remove it? I can create some of those campaigns. I love some of those campaigns, and they hate them because I'm able to send a low-ball offer to companies that have just signed with Intercom or companies that I know will renew because they've installed it 10 months ago, right? And you say, hey, you're discounting your price. Sure, but I'm creating an MRR churn for my competitor, right? Because either they take my offer, it's 100% churn, or they just don't take my offer, but they leverage it to get a discount. So for the cost of an email, I'm actually creating MRR churn. G2 Crowd talked about it. That's a typical G2 Crowd page. You see my logo here. Each time there's my logo, I'm able to get a ping. There's a great API, and I get a ping to know which company has viewed either the category page, my competitor's page. You can see here for Informatica, a big French company. You can see they have seen Intercom, Zendesk Chat, Live Chat, and the color of the bubbles represent a different visitor. So I can know the number of unique people over time. So we actually have ML modeling to understand like what the curve is of the intent over time. There's a buying process happening here. It's like you don't need to be like a genius sales rep, right? Product Hunt, you all know Product Hunt. There's an API to know who has upvoted your product or competitor's product. Very great insights. LinkedIn, we scrape LinkedIn to find who has upvoted or commented on our posts or the posts of other influencers. And we follow up automatically and say, hey, we saw the engagement there. Bombora lets you know which companies are reading about what topics. They leverage the demand-side marketplaces for advertising for that. SEMrush, you know, the cost of the clicks, so the spend on AdWords of specific companies. You go back to Informatica, they're paying $27 per click on data integration, right? And I know which page they're sending that traffic to, so I can leverage that. Predict Leads lets me know job postings. So for example, in our case, we sell technology. The best moment to sell technology, when a senior executive is hired and has a budget and wants to do some change. That's one best moment, right? And so knowing when that happens is critical for us. Save data, we leverage that to find some of our champions who are moving to another account where they're not a customer. And so we track that automatically. There's like, in tech, there's like a 15% turnover rate year over year. I'm like, where do tech people go? In tech. So it's not a surprise that sending them a nice headset in the first couple of weeks saying, hey, we used to love you, we still love you, think about us, works great. So what do we do with that data, right? Well, if you go back to like the principle, you know, people come to our website, we get the IP address, we use Clearbit to get the domain, we score the company, we prospect to find the right contacts, and we send an email, right? That's a very basic schematic about it, right? And we get, just on that, on our own website, to reveal anonymous companies, the intent of anonymous companies who don't sign up on a website, get hundreds of them per day, right? And you think, well, great, but you talked about automation. How do you automate that? Because if we just drop it in Salesforce, like salespeople are going to die, we need to hire more salespeople. That's exactly the opposite of what you want to do. So we actually automate the entire outreach in the name of our salespeople. We do not have SDRs at Drift, right? Everything is automated to the point of demo. And so whether it's anonymous visitors on our website or intent data we have discovered, we will send very customized emails where we inject the knowledge of the company, the person, and the intent we have discovered, right? And look at this email. Okay, it's a good email, but it's kind of missing a good illustration, right? Because best emails, they have an image, or they even have a GIF, right? And so we looked at what salespeople do, and I have sped up this video 3x. If it works, let's see. There you go. So I've sped up that video 3x of a sales rep actually building a preview of what my product, Drift, looks on their website, right? And so they basically go into a demo feature that we have for sales reps, and they're gonna like layer a version of Drift on top of the customer's website, right? And they're gonna take a screenshot of that, right? So they create a Drift bot, whatever, don't care about the product. They go to the customer's or the prospect's website. they use our little Chrome extension we built for that. Take a screenshot, and you can see here, there's Drift at the bottom that's customized with the right logo, the right message. They go into their Gmail, and they enter our customer's email. They write us a quick email, and they're going to drop the image there, right? This is sped up. This was rehearsed. It usually takes them actually like 6 to 10 minutes to do properly. And I mean, they don't do that like all day long, and so like it's just exhausting for them, right? And there you go, you have the image. But I mean, that clicks really well. We look at that and say, hey, how can we do that? Well, if you analyze how it works, and we talk about code eating the food chain, well, it's not that complex. Like, we have APIs to like take screenshots. We could like tap into an API to build, the preview, and that's a good example of what the Growth team does, right? We've actually rebuilt a script to generate that exact screenshot at scale, thousands of times per day, and so this is slowed down 5x, and that does exactly the same thing, right? So we have a couple of engineers, and like they do that kind of stuff, and so that's a good example of what the Growth team does by leveraging engineering to replace a high-volume, low-frequency application, right? And there you go, have a screenshot, right? And then we merge that with the text we saw before. Now we have a text sent in the name of the sales rep, of the AE, customized to the company, the person, the intent we have discovered. We know they are in the buying motion with a preview of what it looks on their website. That's starting to be like pretty like customized and relevant. Relevant is the word. What's interesting when you look at actually what happens in our Slack or emails from customers say stuff like, hey, like, how did you end up sending this thing? Because you see here it says like, hey, have you saw you interacted with our LinkedIn post? All of that is 100% automated. Customers say, how do you do that? It's wonderful. We have sales rep saying, is that email from Growth? It means like we're kind of reaching the Turing point where even our sales reps don't know if like a human sent it or if one of their buddies sent it, right? This is quite fun. So if you go back to the schematic, you say, okay, well, you pull the data, you store it in like segment or whatever, you prospect, you score it, and you send an email. There's really like 2 blocks here. One is the collection of data, and the other one is the action of data, right? And well, the question is like, why stop at email? You can actually like, do more than just one channel. You can actually start leveraging that intent data and that scoring models across multiple channels. I'm going to show you a couple examples, obviously Drift. So we leverage that ourselves. So the Drift chatbot is personalized to the predictions we're making of the likelihood to buy and the intent we're seeing. So if we know that they're in intent motion, if we know they're comparing us on G2 Crowder with a competitor, we will push that into the chatbot. I've built stuff that are pretty fun. When we have a high prediction, instead of telling people, hey, like, seems like you're interested in buying a chatbot tool, we'll push a chat that says, hey, how do you like your coffee? On the homepage. And people say, what the fuck is, what do you mean, right? And so they're gonna engage, right? And what's happening is I'm actually building an order that we actually send to Sendozo, which sends it to Postmates. And so we deliver a hot drink within about 20 minutes in most metro areas. That's when it does a high prediction. Interesting thing, this is actually a great cost because this is like about 15 to 20 bucks, depending on like how fancy the coffee is. Super cheap in B2B. Like, don't forget, my LTV is like above $10,000. If my prediction is high, like 15 bucks investment to like create a memorable experience is like, it's peanuts. Because what happens is that guy in that company or that woman will just say, hey, I just went to Drift's website and like, I got a hot drink. It's like, it's weird, right? And so everyone goes there and now the entire company knows about it, right? So we win. Other example, we use Intellimise, and this I'm also an advisor there. It's kind of optimizing on steroids. We actually change the web page dynamically. So within 0.2 to 0.5 seconds, we use our predictions to change the content of the homepage. One example here, we inject the name of the company in the header there. So here it was a visit from Salesforce. And we will do some things like, for example, remove the pricing page entirely. All the links to the pricing page will be removed. We'll remove the trial button. And we'll just say, hey, let's talk. Let's do a demo. Why is that? Well, if I have like Crate and Barrel or whatever, like, or Nike coming to our website, I don't want them to see we have a $99 plan. Right? That's not what my competitors on the enterprise market do. Right? I want to book a demo because their experience, if they sign up, is going to be miserable. because the likelihood of Nike installing the Drift chat on their own is 0. It's plain 0. There's no chance, right? So it's not worth it. And so we actually create multiple experiences and tracks depending on our predictions. We also use Sendozo to send handwritten letters at scale. That's $5. For $5, we have workers in the US send a handwritten letter to our prospects. So when you think about it, it's kind of like a shadow funnel, right? It's the funnel before the funnel, right? And you've got like those 3 stages. And so if you map that into a grid, you can say, hey, like there's awareness, there's consideration, there's decision, right? And you have multiple like scores of that. Very much like you have that kind of grid for leads, right? How likely are they to buy, and where are they in the buying cycle? It's just we have that before they even come to us. And so I talked a lot about costs and margins, right? About optimizing the cost, reducing the cost. And so if you think about what we do now at Drift, we're actually collecting the data at multiple times in the life cycle of that prospect, and we're building a progressive score. The score increases because, well, we get more data points, which means 2 things. Our confidence on our model increases, and 2, we just see there's just more intent, right? What that means is that we can actually apply that to the LTV. Because if I know the likelihood of buying and I know my LTV, I can just like multiply that and say, hey, like the value at that time is like maybe $100. Now I know how much I can invest depending on where they're on the funnel. What's interesting is that we've actually leveraged that a couple of weeks ago. And this is a fun story because this is working really, really well. So I've done a lot of spending on Facebook. And in SaaS, it's been mostly frustrating because Facebook is optimized for e-commerce and mobile games in terms of like how their machine learning works to train, learn who are the right people the ad should be displayed to. And the reason why it does not work in SaaS is because the conversion window that's allowed in Facebook is 7 days, right? And the conversion must happen client-side, and you must have SKUs and different products. I'm in SaaS, my conversions happen in Salesforce, and they sure as hell don't happen in 7 days, right? So there's nothing I can do but just send like great audiences to them. It does not work. What we do now is that we run the prediction client-side real-time, and we send back to Facebook a fake purchase event at the moment of the trial. So when someone signs up, we make the prediction, we send back the value you saw before in dollars to Facebook with a fake SKU as if it was a purchase. And we tell Facebook, hey, there's a purchase, $100. Facebook doesn't know any better. So, okay, fine, purchase, right? And Facebook optimizes for more people like that. We've been able to divide our cost per qualified lead by about 3x. So we went from about $160 per qualified lead to about $46, right? And that's because we are training Facebook's ML with our own ML. Because the only thing that can train an ML system well is actually lots of good data. And if you synthesize all of that, it means we can have the right action at the right time, and we know the costs, so we can apply the right spending at the right time before they come to us per account, right? And if we go back, it's just simplifying, we're just applying what B2C does. There's no magic here. Like the world of B2C does that. They did that like years ago. We're just bringing that to B2B, and it looks like that, right? We pull all of those intents into a user record, and we just then fan them out to all of those channels. I have 3 slides which I don't usually share, just for you guys, because this is SaaS school and you guys are founders. So a few confidential slides. What are the results of last year? In 2018, we had 116,000 buying signals that we were able to collect. That generates like 48,000 accounts, of which like 40,000 are like qualified, ABC for us. And we generated like 1,300 demos. It's quite a lot of demos for us at a high conversion rate. All of that entirely automated, and our stack looks like that. So we pull like all of the awareness and discovery stack, we process the data, and we fan them out into the analytics. There's a lot of tools there, a lot of tools. And so you might ask, well, what's the budget? So there's about 270K of tech budget here at average 66% discount, good discounts. 3 backend engineers, so it's about $1 million a year of budget. So that's it. Thanks.